From the battlefront to the home front, filmmaker Jake Rademacher gives us a unique and timely look into military life in his new documentary, Brothers at War. I sat down with Jake to get a little insight into what it takes to make such an extraordinary film.
Wherever we are going to, brother.
Jake, thanks so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for bringing me on today to talk to you. It's great.
You say in the film that you wanted to know what your brothers were fighting for. There are easier ways than going all the way to Iraq, twice no less, to learn about their experience. What were you trying to give your audience in this film?
A way into the battlefield, a chance to go right up to the front lines and drop in with the guys that are serving there, and a first-hand look at what's happening. I was kind of turned off by all the political punditry, the analysis of why we went in, should we ever or not. I mean, my generation really jumps into the war once the older generation decides whether we're going or not. I just wanted to give people the opportunity to take in some firsthand information right at the front lines of the battlefield and also right there on the home front, and to let them factor that into their decision-making process and make up their own mind about what they wanted to think or believe about what was going on.
How did you get the funding for this film?
At first I approached a lot of television networks. Then I approached some pretty prestigious production companies out in Los Angeles. I pretty much got nowhere. Something about liability, first-time filmmaker in a war zone. I don't know what they're talking about. But I was able to get Norman Powell, who's kind of a legendary television producer. He had the guts to back me and take a shot on it. But there's no way I could raise money in Hollywood to make the film. So I went to the one place where I thought I could get it done. I went back to my hometown of Decatur, Illinois. And about 18 people rallied together to provide the necessary funds to go over to Iraq twice and then cut together a rough cut of the film.
So it's very much grassroots, community driven.
Big time, big time. It was a couple, it was a couple $100,000 in about 3 to 4 weeks. So I think that shows that a number of people in the hometown understand and badly wanted the opportunity for the voice of the soldier, the voice of the American military family member to have its day.
You have some pretty heavy-duty star power behind this film. You've got Gary Sinise. I know John Voight is thanked at the end of the film, and then you've got Five for Fighting, who has the theme song for the film. How did that come about?
When I was in Iraq screening the film Brothers at War for General Petraeus' Public Affairs Office, one of the Marines came up to me afterwards with tears in her eyes and said, I love the film. You need to give Gary Sinise a call when you get home. You need to get him behind this film. He should be out there presenting this film. Call him when you get back to LA. And I was like, do you have a cell phone number? Because we're not all having coffee at the same coffee shop back in LA. Like, Gary Sinise and where I'm right now in my career is like, that's a jump. A friend of mine, Michael Broderick, who's a former Marine, knew of my trip over to Iraq, said, hey, I said, listen, the guys loved it. It was great. I gave, as an aside, the suggestion of this Marine that you should get Gary Sinise behind the film because he's such a supporter of the Marines and the soldiers and all the people in the military, and it's just a natural fit. So he goes, I think Gary would love this film. It took about 2 months to get on his schedule, but eventually went over to CBS, little screening room. It was Gary Sinise, myself, and my partner Norman Powell, and then they hit play and we watched the film together. And he said, this is a very, very important film, for our military, for the American public, for the future of Iraq and our country and the war on terror. He says a lot of people need to see this film. Gary Sinise and John Voight and my film company got together. We did a big screening of Brothers at War out here in Hollywood. One of the people in the audience was John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting. After seeing the film, he drives home, he sits down at his piano and he writes a song. And that song became Brothers in Arms, which is now featured for the very first time during the end credits of Brothers at War.
To see more of my interview with Jake, click on the link to the right.
Brother.